seeing someone who's on trial kind of put on such a charismatic show. When I say this woman is entertaining, I mean it scared me because I find myself feeling drawn to her personality. And we're talking about a serial killer, we're talking about a horrible criminal, and that's what's scary about it, because I could see when she's outside of prison before she got caught how easy it is for her to get people to do things for her, to trust her. I mean, we're really seeing when they say narcissists are super charismatic and they're able to draw people to them. She's able to draw people in just by being there, you know? The confidence this woman had. Oh my goodness, okay, we're gonna get into it. It's truly wild. So we're talking about Rosemary, and she is from South Africa, and somebody in the comments actually mentioned this story. I'm so sorry I don't have the name, but thank you so much for bringing this to light, because wow, I'm telling you, when I looked up the court case and to see some video, and I was shocked. It's the first time that I'm seeing someone as entertaining as her in a court during the trial. Like, you're facing life in prison here, but her confidence was through the roof. She was incredibly entertaining, literally taking pictures like it's for Instagram, asking the photographers, is this good? Take some more pictures. Let me stand up so you can, let me take my heels off so I'm a good height. Let me eat a chip. And she had a sweater tied around her waist, and literally pulled up the sweater and like bent over. I was like, what is this woman? And when she would talk, it just seemed to pull you in. She has an enticing personality, which is incredibly scary because she is a serial killer. She has zero remorse. She's a very cold person, and we saw different sides of her during the trial, different sides of her personality, and it's scary because I know outside of prison she's someone that was trusted, someone that can gain empathy and cry so convincingly you would feel sorry for her. It's truly terrifying to watch, knowing who this woman is. here's the thing. Rosemary wanted a certain lifestyle that being a police officer or anything in her village was going to provide her. And so she needed a way to make more money and live the life that she wanted to live. And she didn't care who was in her way. She was going to live her lifestyle, right? So I don't know exactly how many siblings she has, but to me it seems she comes from a pretty big family. Lots and lots of nieces and nephews, and her mom. And her mom, I guess her dad is no longer alive or just not in her life because he wasn't really mentioned. So, Rosemary is doing really well for herself. She gets promoted in the police force to sergeant, which is really good. But here's the thing. She starts to want to live this certain lifestyle, and the way she's going to do that is through collecting people's life insurance policies. But not just anybody's. Obviously, it's going to be the ones closest to her, the ones that she has the closest access to, the ones that trust her, and that, she can do this with, right? So she targets her niece, her sister, her boyfriend, who's also the father of her child, just different members in her family over the span of a few years. So this is happening between 2012 and 2018, and she is in her early 30s, let's say 32 to around 36, she's doing this. And her family doesn't suspect a thing because, again, this is not someone who would do this. I mean, they don't know her to be off mentally. They don't know her to be someone to be afraid of. They trust her, they love her. She's in her 30s. Who just one day in their 30s wakes up to decide I'm gonna start taking off my family, I'm gonna start deleting people. So this was wild. There was one sister that she targeted, that she unalived herself in her home. She strangled her to death in her home, her own sister, and collected on that life insurance policy. She had her boyfriend targeted, and she would hire different hitmen too if she couldn't do it herself. So her boyfriend, she had somebody attack him with a knife a crazy amount of time, so he was deleted. No remorse, no sadness, no nothing about this, I mean, she put on a show, but come on. And she had her niece unalived as well, and then she targeted her sister. Now this one I can go more in depth with. So her sister, seemed that they lived in this kind of a rural area in South Africa, not the city, nothing like this. And her sister had about 6 kids, the youngest being a little baby. I believe this baby was about 9 months old at the time, 9-10 months, so a little baby. And then you have teenagers, and they all live in this little government house together. And Rosemary one day calls her sister and is like, hey, so-and-so. And she's like, hey, so-and-so, your neighbor, does he still work the night shift? And she's like, oh, I don't think so. But she's confused as to why her sister is asking her this. And, she is in the car with this undercover policeman, and she doesn't know that this person is a policeman. And she's basically thinking that she's hiring someone to get a job done for her. And she's telling him, okay, here's the plan, here's what you're gonna do. We're going to go to this gas station and fill up a tank, a bottle of gasoline. And before you do this, I'm going to meet up and she would pay about $1,000 or $2,000 dollars in their money to get the job done. So even to them, it wasn't like an exorbitant amount to get the job done, you know. It just seemed not that much. Not that there's a price, but you know, she said, okay, you're gonna burn the house down, because in the village you do it either by strangulation or fire. You don't do knife attack or shooting. So, and I'm like, why would she say that? Is there some kind of moral code on how to take somebody's life in the village? I don't get it. And also, that's strange because it's the way that her boyfriend was unalived. But maybe she just had more sympathy for her sister and for her nieces and nephews' sympathy. And so, yeah, this was her plan. She was set. And, so basically, the house did get burned down. However, that they did this to really catch Rosemary trying to get the life insurance policy. So what they did was they went and they warned everybody in her family. People have been dying in your family, and you're next. The mom was a target. The sister and her kids were a target. Get out of your houses at this time. We're just gonna act like we're going along with our plan. Don't worry, you'll be taken care of. But we need to catch her so we can have a strong case for ourselves, right? So this is how Rosemary would deal with reporting someone in her family going missing, because they were always targets in her family. So she would go to the police station, and maybe not even the one that she worked at, but she would go to the police station to report a missing persons case. And the police officers would say, hey, you know, you're a police officer, you know how this works. Do you have the person's photo so we can go ahead about putting up, you know, flyers, or get some information about who this person is, what they look like? Do you have a photo? And she would say, no, I don't have it, but I don't live very far. And literally less than 5 minutes later, she would come back just crying her eyes out, and she would just be hysterical, saying, oh, they unalived my boyfriend, oh, they unalived my niece. And you know, the police officers that witnessed this was testifying at the court case and saying that, you know, at the time they haven't even opened the exhibit bag. How would she know who did it or how it was done? How do you know these things, you know? If you're just coming to file a missing persons, how in the world do you come back less than 5 minutes later saying that they're dead? Doesn't make any sense. And it would also come out later that Rosemary apparently wasn't doing very well financially. She didn't own a house, she didn't own a car. She had nothing to show for the 1.5 million rands, which is their money to show for. Maybe she just went and gambled it away, or I don't know what she did with her money. But her whole premises, her whole thing was, I will lure you in, make you believe that I love you, and then I will unalive you and list myself as the beneficiary to collect all of the money. And she would say, you know, in court that she collected, because she never owned up to anything, okay? You know, obviously she in court would say, I collected this insurance money to take care of my family because I didn't want to feel like the funeral costs were a burden on me, and just if I had this money I could help my family just a joke, you know. And like I said, she targeted her mother. Her mother was next, and her mother was there, and this poor woman is like, I don't believe my daughter could have ever planned to unalive me for some money. I mean, it's her mom, right? So it's sad. It's really sad. Obviously, putting together the fact that everybody around her, because it was pointed out that why are you in close proximity to everybody that's died over a certain amount of time through the years? Why are you the one to kind of report on this or go straight to the insurance money, or not too far away when these things happen, when the dots were connected, you know? The sister said in court that, well, actually at a later interview, she had an interview in front of her house that was, clearly you can see it was burned down, and she didn't understand, because in court, just like everybody else, she found herself feeling sorry for Rosemary, and she would have to literally remind herself that, oh my goodness, my kids could have died a painful death. I could have died a painful death because this woman wanted to collect on insurance money. She targeted me. I'm a woman. I have nothing. I'm single. I have 6 kids. Poor and poverty. Like, she wanted to kill me in a government-owned home with nothing to my name. While she's the one who has the job. She's the one that's gotten promoted. You know, it was just a lot of shame and sadness that she was willing to do this to her sister that had nothing, and to the sister's kids. But like I said, she put on a show. She would cry hysterically when it came to her boyfriend. When they brought up her boyfriend, she would just cry hysterically and said, I loved him. I should have spent the rest of my life with him. But when her sister was mentioned, she didn't cry. Not like that. She didn't put on a show. It wasn't hysterical. So it seemed to be that she was kind of figuring out who to put more emotion on, or what would pull at someone's heartstrings more. And it was just so convincing. And you would see her get kind of angry at the photographers when she was walking to be put into the police car or the truck, and she had this chips can in her hand, and she was literally threatening to throw the chips can at people. So you really saw her personality change so much throughout this time. Rosemary was working behind the prison jail cell to have them unalived. And these are 2 cops that actually worked with her at her police station. And he was stunned because he said, I actually saw some really amazing things while working with her. I saw how good she was in her role, you know. But it was stranger behavior, because at times she would be reluctant to come into work. There were times when she would miss, 2 days a week. She wouldn't come into work about 4 to 5 times, during the month. It just seemed something that kind of kept happening, and little did they know that she was actually being chased by loan sharks to get their money. So this woman was caught up in a web of lies, somehow sinking financially, but still was going after unaliving her family members for life insurance money. And like I said, she had nothing to show for it. She was a mess of a woman, and she was sentenced to multiple life sentences, so she will never get out. And in the court, when she was found guilty, she was saying, you guys are saying that I did this. There's nothing more for me to say. I accept what you say, but I didn't do it. And she was looking at her family and saying, I love you guys. Don't worry for me. I really love you. And thank you to the police officers for not treating me like an animal. Thank you for treating me with respect. Like the way that she said what she said maybe they don't have the right person. Not that, but she was just so calm and just so thankful to the system, and so you know, loving towards her family. Just a different person than who would have committed those crimes, you know. And then she was taken off to jail. I'm saying a story like this, I mean, guys, all of these true crime stories are scary when you're talking about what people are capable of. Like I said, this was a woman in her 30s. Before this, I don't have much information, but it seemed like she lived a pretty rather normal life, you know, until she just got to the point where she's like, I need more money. Somebody's gotta go. You know, and just kind of picking them off one by one, with no remorse, showing up to the funerals, acting like a grieving family member, a grieving girlfriend, knowing that you're the one who did this, sometimes at your own hand, and nobody suspects it's you. It's just wild